Hey, afternoon and welcome to the first official episode of Try Bonsai, formerly Potting with Shalon. I am Shalon, better well known as Banner, and we have a surprise for all here. So I now pick up my partner Errol and we're going on a beat, right? So stay tuned, stay tuned. This is going to be a very big surprise. All right.
Got it.
Before they start, I would like to thank you for accepting this invitation to have this discussion with us. I am Shalon, I am part of Bonsai T&T, and I also have my own YouTube channel called Potting with Shalon, which will be changed to Try Bonsai. Because
Okay.
it is a little bit more
Trinidad Bonsai, eh?
yeah, synonymous with what I'm trying
Well, I'll have to subscribe to your channel, that's for sure.
I would appreciate it, and I would say thank you to that.
Yeah,
You know?
send me a link and I'll subscribe.
So we have some members of Bonsai T&T around.
Yeah.
So as you can see, Dion is here. Kerry is on my left-hand side.
There he is.
He is on my right-hand side. And Errol and Alvin have gone into the yard to give you that view of some of the bonsai that we have here.
Okay.
This is just a touch of what we have.
Wow.
I would allow them to talk and show you some stuff, and
okay.
then
I'd be happy to look at them. They look fantastic.
So, Errol, you guys could go ahead.
Walk down this way. Where is it, Banner?
You all could go ahead. He's hearing you.
Okay. Start here, we walk down. This is just a ficus. We live in the tropics, so that we use a lot of tropical plants that are easier for us. We have difficulty for getting imports of things like junipers, pines. So we just use a lot of things that we can get here.
Yeah,
so
well, you have to grow what you can grow in your climate. That's for sure.
Yeah. This is a styrax. This is about over 50 years old.
Wow.
It's something I acquired from one of the other guys.
Wow.
Let's take a walk around.
So that's like a legacy tree passed down
from
someone else, eh? Yeah. Nice.
This is another styrax, slightly different height. I am very limited in my styling. I'm not as talented as some of the other guys. So lots of informal uprights and twin trunks, couple cascades, and but using a different varieties of things.
Oh, it's looking really good.
And this is an attempt at a limeberry windswept. This is another variety of ficus that I love. This is narrofolia. Very
okay. Yeah, I'm familiar.
This is something that's grown. We found in the wild locally. We call it miniature guava. We don't know. I don't know the name of it.
This one here,
it's a Jamalina.
a Jamalina. Another styrax.
Okay.
And then this is a juniper.
Some juniper.
Wow, that looks healthy.
Yeah, they grow slowly in this country, but they do well, but they grow very, very slowly.
What is...
And it's difficult to get them because the plant shops don't import a lot of them. So we have to make some from cuttings and whatever else. But because they grow so slowly, we don't have that many of them. But I don't have that many of them.
What's the lowest temperature you would get there in Trinidad?
Lewis, when it's cold, it's about 19.
Yeah, about 19.
9 Celsius?
19 degrees.
19.
19.
Yeah,
oh,
so it's
okay.
hot. Coldest is hot, right? At average temperatures in the 20s, Celsius. This
Okay,
is
so
something I love. Let's show you this here. This. Now, this
Oh.
is ironwood.
Ironwood.
okay,
It has a lovely trunk on it.
it's
I have quite a
beautiful.
few
Yeah.
ironwood, but I like this. It's an attempt at a boot style.
This one, next one here is a DVD.
This we call
Okay.
DVD.
Divvy.
What's in my find?
Wow.
This here is what do you call this? Strawberry.
This one is we call
It's a
cherry.
local plant that we collected. I collected many years ago. We've given it a name. That's tamarind. Tamarind.
Okay. Tamarind.
This one here is the ficus. I think they call it we call it retusa, but there's another name they call Long Island.
Okay. Yeah.
This one is the Brazilian rain tree.
Wow, that's a beauty, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Wow.
Wow.
And then very quickly down here before we join up here to the other guys. I'll show you some other plants. Just give them to get a world view up there.
These are more ironwood trees.
These are ironwood. They're not local to Trinidad, but they've been brought to Trinidad in the colonial days by the British and put in the parks.
Okay.
So I collected some seeds.
Is that like what we call a hornbeam, or is it a different
Yes.
species?
I think it's different.
It's different from a hornbeam.
Okay.
The bark tends to shed like guava. So it peels off and it gives you this two-toned different color.
Nice.
And it's a very hardy wood.
The Brazilian rain tree does that too, doesn't it? It gets that
Yeah,
almost like camouflage. It's just beautiful. Yeah, that's awesome.
So
This
we
one
have
here.
gotten them to grow either by seeds, which was collected, or even layers.
I see.
Yeah, we can do layers with them and get plants off.
I see.
This
Nice.
one here is a Podocarpus.
Yeah.
That's a small plant.
This
Nice.
one, we don't know the name of this one.
I'm not
Collected
sure the
from the
name of this.
wild.
I acquired this from somebody, but it's a lovely plant. It has a nice bark on it. So when
Yeah.
I clean it up, the bark shows up. It's really quite pretty.
Nice.
Another
Nice.
ironwood.
Wow.
And there's some on here
Beautiful.
for two.
Love the branches in that. They're fantastic.
This is a common ficus, but it's the Anastasia. The leaves are slightly smaller than the Benjamina,
Okay.
and that makes a nice plant.
Wow.
And then some small things. You could come back and look at this. This is more of a. I have to pick everything on this. This is something I was driving around the neighborhood many years ago, and somebody had this in a pot and they were throwing it out. Decided to pick it up and start training it.
It's looking good.
What's interesting about it is that half, if you come back a little further, you will see it's half of the plant is variegated leaves and the other half is green.
Okay.
And it's from the same plant. It's one plant. It's not too fused or anything.
It wasn't
So
grafted.
it makes it very interesting that you have, but it's more of a very large bonsai. This is almost 5 foot high.
I've seen other ficus like that where the leaf color is different on one branch than another, and it's just a genetic anomaly or mutation or something. It's very strange, but that looks really cool. That's really nice.
Okay, let's go back. I think you've seen enough of my plants. I have plants all up on the hill, different, a variety of different things up there. But as you see, it's a lot of green, very green tropical things that we can be used here.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay, and this is just a view down the walkway. We have some of the guys, Dion, for instance, and Errol here, who's holding the camera, and Harold, that have lovely plants as well, lots of different styles. This little thing here, and small plants. These are all very recent plants in their foliar, but they're root cuttings. And they
Okay.
grow very, very readily from root cuttings. So I was transplanting another plant I had,
Yeah.
and did some root work. And
Wow.
I decided, and the root cuttings are quite large for small plants.
Yeah, yeah, they're really something.
The
Wow.
trunks are quite decent. That's just a rock plant in the back.
Yeah.
Okay, and let's pick the branches of these.
The Cambron.
That's Cameron,
Okay.
large. This is another
Ficus.
ficus.
Wow. That's a beauty, isn't it?
Another Cambron.
This is a Cameron, lovely big trunk. What has happened is we've had strange weather in Trinidad for the past 6 weeks. Normally you'd have rainy season, but it's been very dry. So lots of the leaves dropped off on the Cameron. Cameron, it will shoot off again with the rains coming.
It'll recover.
All right, so that's a small tour of part of my collection.
Well, that's a very impressive collection. That's fantastic.
And for obvious reasons, I don't have a collection like that.
Not many people do.
Because I am unlike these gentlemen around me. I'm very new to this art form. You know, so I am learning.
Yes.
By step and going through the process. So learning.
Well, you never stop learning.
No,
that's for sure. That's for sure. You page to turn every time you walk around, you drive around, you have competition with prestige gentlemen like you. But we love your work. I mean, your work, it's beautiful.
Oh, thank you very much.
I mind this little forest behind you there. That is not something we didn't think about, and we have that particular species of plant here in Trinidad.
That's the Ficus elastica, the rubber tree.
Yeah.
I enjoy them. You can get the leaves quite small on them if you restrict the root system and get lots of branching on them. You can get pretty cool looking tree out of it, I think.
Yeah. Well, the forest looks nice there, so I mean that's something we could certainly take a page out of your book.
Do you get a lot of aerial roots in Trinidad? Do you have high humidity, or is it fairly moderate?
As you can see, I am constantly wiping my face.
Okay.
Because it is quite humid. We had some rain a little while ago, and that just raised the heat even more. Now, unlike you come back with 4 different climates.
Yeah.
We only have 2.
I see.
Wet and dry.
Okay.
So either it's raining or it's quite dry. And that humidity that is created allows for our plants to be on the go constantly. Now, what I understand is that we would have a little bit of a lull period, but there's always constant growth because we have a wet season and a dry season.
So your dry season would be like the plant's rest period, and then when it starts raining again, they would take off again, would they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a great rest period because it grows.
A couple of years gone by, when it comes to like in your winter season over there, our season has been changing slowly now, where in that particular winter season, our temperatures seems to drop at nighttime, maybe up to 17 degrees.
Okay.
Being that our plants are all tropical plants and they're accustomed with this heat, at that time of year, the plant seems to go into shock. So they go to sleep more or less. So they drop their leaves and, you have to wait for that period for it to catch back up,
I see. Well, 17 degrees, the coldest we go down to, it was minus 36 degrees Celsius the one winter.
We
And
don't know anything about.
When you walk outside, the humidity in your clothing makes your clothing go stiff because it just freezes from the humidity. And it's unbelievably cold. It almost takes your breath away. It's just shocking how cold it gets.
Imagine. So let me ask you some questions, and of course you could ask us.
Sure.
So I look at your videos. I've been looking at your videos since I started paying attention to this art form.
I see.
Right. And I've been following you for quite a while. Well, when I say quite a while, I've only been in this art form for about 3 going on 4 years.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And I particularly like, especially a pinging work. I was shocked at the fact that you got a nice beetle, a nice show beetle, and you burnt it.
Burnt it.
The end result was fabulous. And I understand your meticulousness with regards to how you treat with your plants and your connection with nature.
Yes.
Now, what I want to ask first is, how did you get into bonsai? What brought this particular love for you?
Bonsai kind of found me. So what happened is I was at work, and at Christmas time, the company gave everyone a free poinsettia to put on their desk at work.
Right.
And then after Christmas, they said you can keep it, do whatever you want with it. And so I kept mine growing on my desk at work, and everyone else's died. I just kept watering mine and took care of it. And then out of the soil in the pot, something started growing. And it turns out it was a Ficus microcarpa. And it started growing, and it got a little taller, and it started to look like a little tree. It got bark on it. And I just was, it just appealed to me. And then it started growing a little taller, and I thought, well, I better put it in its own pot. And I still didn't know what it was. So I put it in its own pot, and then it started getting even larger. And I thought, it's getting kind of big for the window at work. I better prune it.
Right.
And I knew nothing about pruning. So I went to the local bookstore to look in the gardening section to see how I should prune it. And I came across a book on bonsai, and I had never really heard of bonsai in my whole life. I didn't know it was a hobby. I had never seen pictures of bonsai or anything. And it just, like, my eyes just opened up, and it was like, wow, this is a thing, pruning trees and keeping them small and miniature. And I just fell in love with the hobby right there and there. And a week later, I had like 12 trees. And then another couple of weeks later, I had 20 trees. And then I just never stopped. I joined 3 clubs that were in the area, and I went to all the meetings, and I just, it was just appealed to me right away. So I feel lucky that that little seedling grew in that pot. Otherwise, I probably would have never got into bonsai. And that was about 33 years ago.
Wow.
And I still have that tree.
So let me ask, I'm going to ask something of a funny question. Because when I got into it, I took a page from your book, because you made a statement, you can't practice bonsai with one tree.
Right.
You can't get into bonsai with one tree. Because
Well,
you can't.
It's not much of a hobby.
It's not much of a hobby if you have one tree. You need several different types of species. You need to learn your species, learn nature, all these varying things.
Yeah, I think you need enough a certain number of trees to keep yourself busy in the hobby. Otherwise, if you have like 3 trees, you might prune them 3 or 4 times a year, and the rest of the time you're just watering the tree and taking care of it, waiting for it to grow. And it would be a frustrating hobby if most people like to do stuff all the time. And so if you have a lot of trees, it allows you to work on something each day, even if it's just weeding or fertilizing or pruning. It's nice to keep yourself busy in the hobby rather than just, twiddling your thumbs waiting for things to happen.
As you can see, wiping the sweat because of the humidity.
Well, it's only, I think it's 7 degrees outside here now.
That's freezing here.
It's cool.
It's probably about what?
It ranges between 26 and 30 here.
It ranges between 26 and 30 degrees Celsius here.
Okay. Wow.
We are quite hot.
Yes. Yes.
You know, some of you spoke about your ficus microcarpa. This is the tree that you talk about that grew from a seed.
Yes.
It's the one with the buttress roots, and
that's the one. After 33 years, it's starting to mature, and I say starting because it'll take another 33 years before it becomes something really magnificent. And I won't be around, but hopefully someone will take care of it. And
that is what we hope. You know, that what we start now transcends into the next generation and the generation after, and it keeps going on and gets better and better as the time passes.
I think too many people who get into bonsai are after an end product. They want this magnificent tree on their bench to look at. And I think to enjoy the hobby, you have to enjoy the process of growing trees.
Very correct.
Taking care of them, pruning them. So it doesn't matter if you're growing a seedling or a mature bonsai. The techniques are the same and the amount of care is the same. And so you have to enjoy whatever you're doing. You can't be searching for that perfect tree in the end, because, I mean, there is no end. Once you get a perfect tree, then you make it more perfect.
Yeah, that's the point. It's an art form. One of the problems, not problems, how do you get most of your material? Collected material, plant shops, where do you get most of your material?
I would say from seeds. I grow a lot from seeds, cuttings from other people in the clubs and that. I purchase the odd ones from nurseries, like starter trees and that. And a small percentage are collected. I don't really collect a lot. The reason is you have to get permission from the landowner. And I find that you can spend the whole day looking for a tree to collect, and sometimes you find one that's worth it, and sometimes you come home empty-handed. And for me personally, I would rather just spend the time at home taking care of the trees I have. If you're after like that, really wild collected trunk, like you have to go quite far north in Canada here to find good trees to collect.
Oh, okay.
And you'll find them, but you'll travel, like by car, you'll probably go 12 hours or more, maybe 20 hours north to find the stunted trees.
Yeah, we tended to collect many years ago when I first discovered bonsai.
Yeah,
collect trees around the islands, different places. But that was many years ago. I'm not so young anymore. So
yeah, it is. It's hard work. It's hard work digging it out, and then only a certain percentage of your trees will survive.
Mm-hmm.
What I tend to advise people to do.
Sorry, what was that?
What I tend to advise younger people to do, what I used to do as part of the group that we had.
Yeah.
Anytime I worked on a plant and I would make cuttings. So I was loaded with, many, many cuttings of everything that I was working on.
Yeah.
And it's an opportunity within the clubs our group and the previous group that I was involved with, just to give cuttings to new members. And I tell them, you go to the nursery or to the plant shop and you spend so much money on a plant. If you're going to work on that plant, you should have 20 cuttings after your first pruning of the plant. Just put it out and you have more cuttings. So that's one of the ways of just generating more material.
I find people in the bonsai clubs are very generous. If they have extra cuttings, they give them away for nothing.
Yeah.
They're always willing to help you grow your trees. And, if your tree dies, they'll say, well, here's one to replace it with. And they're generally pretty friendly people in bonsai clubs.
Yeah, we've tried to do that. So whenever we have workshops here at my home, I tend to the younger members and the new members to give out cuttings, so at least they have things to work with.
Yeah, something. And you were talking about the penjings.
Yeah.
A lot of penjings in forests, you can use trees that are, early in their development, and you put them together in a penjing or a forest, and they look really nice.
Yeah.
So it allows you to use material that's not, 40 years old. It can be a young tree, and as long as you style it right and arrange them, you can make a really attractive planting with young material.
Yeah.
And I that's what I like about penjing. It's I gotta get out of the sun there.
I realize.
Yeah, so it allows you to use young material in an artistic way, and it looks quite nice in the end.
Well, it serves a dual purpose for me. So I don't have a grandeur amount of space.
Yeah.
And I also have to kind of shy away from the little cut I just get from my wife sometimes.
Yeah.
Because this hobby has a tendency to make you overdo.
Yeah.
So I have moved towards forest penjings.
Yes.
And to try to develop more of a shohin style.
I see. Yeah.
It would lend nicely to the space that I have.
Yeah.
What is because I don't know that you have very many shohin trees. What is your preferred style? Got your stats.
I'm fussy about roots.
I know. You are very fussy.
My priorities with a tree is first to get the root system sorted out. A nice radial root system on the surface and fine fibrous roots underneath. Two reasons. Aesthetically, it makes the tree look mature and planted. And horticulturally, you need those fine roots in the soil to really grow a good top to the tree. You can't have a tree with like 3 roots and expect this big canopy on top of it, because you need all the fine feeder roots to support the top of the tree. So I generally try and get those roots sorted out, and then I work on the trunk and branches, and then finally, the final kind of canopy shape. If I had to have a favorite style, I would say probably the banyan style, where you have the sprawling branches, the canopy, and then the aerial roots dropping down on either a Schefflera or a ficus. And I find ficus trees are one of the easiest trees to grow for beginners, but to develop a ficus into a really good mature bonsai takes a lot of technique, especially root work, branch work, everything, because they're a species of tree that's easy to keep alive, but difficult to shape. Especially in the roots, they get those big bulbous roots on them.
Yes, they do.
And it takes a lot of root pruning, a lot of root management, a lot of hard decisions where you prune big, thick branches off, big, thick aerial roots off. And so it's a good tree to begin with, but to get a good ficus is rare. It takes a lot of technique, and you see them out there, but they're not very common. You see kind of mediocre ficus at shows, but not kind of highly developed ones.
Yeah.
That's what I find.
And in terms of, everybody has some form of a kryptonite tree. For me, junipers are my kryptonite.
Junipers.
I have killed a few.
Yeah.
My first experience was...
I myself has killed a few. But recently I've been doing good with pines.
Oh yeah.
So I was fortunate enough to acquire some Japanese black pine seedlings.
Okay.
They adapt. and so far they're doing really well.
I see. Good.
So in the past, my best friend Errol,
Who's behind the camera?
he's on the camera. So he said, man, you're always killing pine. You better send the pine up by me. I will see about it. So I used to send it up by him, and we work on them together. But of recently, he said, like you're getting good with pine now, you'll find all these secrets. So it's just a little secret you just have to work.
Well, often it's a matter of, like, I guess my kryptonite would be adeniums. I have killed so many desert rose that it's not funny. It seemed like they would do well, and then if I did any bonsai techniques to them, they would die. And in the end, it wasn't the tree. It was my fault. I wasn't doing the right techniques, and not the right timing, and not the right watering. So after probably 5 tries over many years, I finally got adeniums to grow and be healthy. And so often, you know, those difficult trees, it's either the conditions you're growing them in aren't suitable, or you're using the wrong techniques on them.
And funny enough, I started my channel doing desert roses.
Okay.
I have desert roses cuttings. I have a lot of desert roses till I started a giveaway because I had too much. I've recently, one of my desert roses gave me seeds.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, so I gave it away in the group chat. Who wants, they could have it. That was not a kryptonite for me.
I see.
Junipers, I remember looking at videos and thinking, well, right, you know, I could do this. So I went to the plant store and I bought 3 junipers.
Yeah.
Soil, wire. And unfortunately, I did not get the memo that you cannot bear rooted in our climate.
Okay.
As you want, and deal with it as willy-nilly as you want.
Yeah. We all learned that the hard way.
That was
thousands of dollars.
That was a very hard lesson that I learned, because I spent approximately $1,300 TT dollars on that.
Often you have to adjust your technique for your climate. Like you in Trinidad, you can probably defoliate your ficus like probably 2 or 3 times a year.
Easy. Easy.
Here we have to do it like once every 2 years, and be careful, because my growing season here, where I get warm weather that's suitable for ficus, is maybe 2 to 3 months. That's it. And the rest of the years, they're either kind of dormant, or indoors they do all right too.
In your plant room.
Yeah. But
we have to treat pines like that here in Trinidad.
Right. So you have to be very careful with them, eh?
You have to wire. You have to wire 1 year and let the plant rest for 2 years.
Right.
The transplant repot is the same thing.
Yeah.
In my situation, I've learned it extremely hard way. I have lost thousands of dollars purchasing raw material. Fortunately, like Alvin said, cuttings does go a long way. So I used to be the guy that sticks everything in soil. So any particular plant I trim, I stick it in a container and hope for the best.
I like people like you.
Yeah, if it goes, it goes. Yeah, you know. But my best friend, Mr. Errol, his hand has set on junipers. So when I purchase a juniper, he take the cuttings, he will go back home, he'll set them. So in the future that I kill the plant, I can still get back one from him.
I see.
And in my particular garden, I have learned that there's one particular spot in the garden where the pines and junipers thrive. It's weird, strange to me, but the plant seems to like the conditions in that spot. If I move them around, it slows the growth down.
Yeah.
Or it starts dying back. branch by branch.
It may be the right temperature or the right light, or it gets a good airflow in that section of the yard or something like that, eh?
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
go with what works, eh?
I've
Find
been
a
doing
good
that.
spot, you keep doing it.
I've been doing that, and it's been working out very fine for me.
Yeah. Do you guys grow baobab trees there?
Baobab?
Like the African baobab, or?
I know we are very limited.
Okay.
As I said earlier, and Alvin, it's tough for us to get material. Really
I see.
tough. Our materials that we can get is so limited that sometimes it's easier to go Yamadori hunting
Yes.
and take small seedlings like about 3-4 inches and grow them rather than trying to get.
Are there any native trees just to Trinidad that don't grow anywhere else in the world, or?
Not really.
Not really.
No.
Not maybe the tocoberry, which is probably limited to the Caribbean.
Okay.
Sea grape.
So, okay.
Berry and sea grape is probably limited to Trinidad and the Caribbean. But to say everything else is more or less that we get from the Caribbean or out of state. I've been experimenting recently with crab apples. I've gotten a crab apple to grow and a Canadian oak, but it still hasn't adjusted yet. In the sense that it's lost. The plant is lost in the seasons.
I see.
So it can't tell when it's winter, summer, spring.
I see.
But it's growing.
Yeah. Do you have any shows in Trinidad? Any bonsai shows?
So
We have displays that we do from time to time, but we haven't really pulled off a big show as yet.
I see. Okay.
It's in the making though.
Okay. Well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
So listening to an interview that you had after the American show,
Yes. Yeah.
right, and understanding what you were saying in terms of each region or the different regions developing their own style to suit themselves. So
Yes.
Canadian bonsai, American bonsai, Taiwanese, Philippine bonsai, Caribbean bonsai in our case. Now, there was something that you mentioned in that interview that spoke towards showing trees and displaying and whatnot. Now, where we are concerned, we don't have that level of competition that you all have.
Yes.
We basically do displays because we are a very small club.
Yes.
But the members of our clubs are in it to win it.
Well, there's people like that in every club that their goal in life is to have the most impressive tree to win the best tree of the show. And I find those people are generally the most miserable people in the club because they're in it for kind of the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice to win an award like that or something, or it makes you feel good if your tree looks impressive at a show, but I don't think that should be your main focus in life.
It shouldn't. It shouldn't.
There's friendly competitiveness, and then there's over the top competitiveness, and I like to keep it under check, in check.
We tend to have displays occasionally at malls and whatever else, but the purpose of our displays are really to encourage more people into the art form.
I see.
Don't have anything but prizes awarded or anything. We 3 or 4 times a year we will have displays at the mall, and if we get 2 or 3 people interested in bonsai from each of those displays,
that's good. Yeah.
Good. I remember this is it's a small island. The population is small, so the people who keep bonsai in the country probably are less than 50.
I see. That's about the size of our local club. We have about
But that's a difference. You have 2 clubs in the country, and between the 2 clubs, you have maybe 50 people, and maybe 30 of them are serious.
I see.
The rest of them not particularly so.
And do you have any local potters that make bonsai pots, or?
We've had recently some pot makers. We've given them pots as samples, and they've been producing reasonably good pots.
Yeah.
Not fabulous, but reasonably good big pots rather than small pots.
I see.
So we tend to use a lot of concrete pots.
Okay.
Plastic pots, containers, that kind of a thing. Well, I can't make a comparison to Alvin's yard because Alvin's yard is Alvin's yard. Where, from my standpoint, a lot of my things are in the growing stage.
Yes.
So I don't put things in pots one time. I put them in bigger containers.
Bigger containers, yeah.
And whatnot to get that development to develop. Then eventually, as I learn and as I develop and as I grow, I will transplant into pots, gradually, a gradual process, not an immediate no for now type of situation.
Well, you kind of know when your tree gets to a certain level, it's like it deserves a good pot then. It's like a stage of development of the tree is that it's a nice stage to reach when you're this little, whatever your tree started off with, it gets to a certain point and you go, oh, it needs a nice pot now. And it's kind of, it's nice.
But bonsai pots on the whole for us, it's a bit difficult to come by.
I see.
Suppliers would bring in, but they would bring in whatever they like. So most of the time we tend to find that the design of the pot or the style of the pot doesn't suit the plant.
Right.
That we want it for. So
well,
that's
you just have to make the best to do with the best with what you can get, can't you? And
that is right. Be creative.
It's the same. What about soil? What kind of soil are you using?
Right. So we use, well, for me, I use a mixture of, and this is something that I've learned from trying different things. So I use a mixture of potting soil with 1/8 gravel stone, and I don't throw away any eggshells. The battery on my laptop is about to die, but I've logged onto my phone, so I should be good. I don't throw away eggshells. I use eggshells in my soil. And recently, I went by my good friend Errol. I have stolen Dion's best friend Errol. He's now my friend. And he had some rabbits, so I took the excrement from the rabbits. That I mixed into my soil very gently, because you don't want to put too much in case
it'll burn the roots, won't it, if it's too fresh?
So soil mixture for me is still a learning process.
Yes.
What I found throughout different parts of Trinidad, where people are located, the soil mixture has to be different. Actually, it's different. It don't really have to be, but it is different because the temperature is different in various parts of the country.
I see.
So up by Alvin's there, it's much cooler because he's up in the mountains and the hillside.
I see.
Down where I am situated, I'm in the central area. It's much more hot here and more humid. So my topsoil, my soil mix here is not as porous as the soil mix up by Alvin, because he would tend to get more rainfall.
I see, yes.
So I would have a little more topsoil here, in my soil mix, with the mash up clays and stuff to retain whatever moisture. And even down in the Southland, where we have some friends that they do have bonsai, it's much colder there too. So their soil mix is even different than ours.
I see.
So different parts of the country is something that we encourage when we have when we get together to get the members to get to know the temperature of the area, get to know what the plants will strive in, what soil mix.
I see.
It varies.
Well, one thing I've noticed is that people in tropical climates tend to use a finer soil particle, almost like sand, rather than the coarser soil we use here in North America, because I think if you grew it in the coarser soil mix and watered and fertilized a lot, your roots would grow so rapidly and the tree would grow so rapidly that you need to slow it down a bit with finer soil particles and less air in the soil.
Yeah.
That's what I think, because I know in India and that they grow it in very fine soil. Otherwise, the growth is just too rapid.
Yeah,
on
true.
the trees.
Yeah. Which is very true. We also have the ability, well, some of us who have yard and that kind of a thing, put some of the trees into the ground to expedite the growth.
Yeah.
And then they pick it up and put it in pots and that kind of thing.
It's kind of like Yadadori.
Yeah.
We put it in the ground and allow them to develop. And then we dig back trenches around. And as soon as the fibers will start coming back out from there, we extract them and transplant them.
I see.
So we don't, and it's very costly by us to have the soil types like Akadama and all these various things. So we tend to use what is available to us.
Yeah.
So for me, when I started, I used to buy sharp sand. And the sharp sand, I didn't have a sifter, so I got a biscuit pan, a big biscuit tray.
Yeah.
With a hammer and a nail, and I put some music in my ears, and I went to work.
That's good.
I built myself a sifter.
That's dedication.
And then Errol introduced me to 1/8 gravel that we get in bags, like you buy cement.
Okay.
And
that's
so
what pool people use.
That's what the
Pool people use.
The pool people. Kerry's saying that is what the pool people use. So we use that. I mix that into my soil, and that helps to bifurcate the roots when they bounce the.
So it's like a sharp gravel, is it?
Yeah.
Not rounded pea stone or anything like that. Yeah.
It's like a sharp gravel.
Yeah.
It must make your pots pretty heavy though.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
They don't blow away in the wind, eh?
No, not at all.
It takes 2 or 3 people to lift them up.
Yeah.
The bigger the planting, the more you are in trouble.
I think that's why in Canada here, you don't see a lot of great big trees, because we generally have to move them in spring. They have to be moved into protection, and then in spring they come out of protection, and in fall they go back into protection. So we're always moving our trees around. So you just don't find the great big trees like you do in the tropics, where you can leave them out all year round.
Yeah, that's what we do. We just plant it, we leave it. If we have to, like we had a display a couple months ago where a couple of the members, Errol and another member, had to go down to Dion's house to help him move his plants into his thing to bring it up, because it was seriously heavy. And it comes from a point where, okay, so as he said, we don't have the potters here and the people who bring in pots, bring in what they want, what they believe would work, you know.
Yeah.
So you find that ingenuity has to take hold. So Errol would have tried his hand in creating some pots.
Yeah.
Other people would have tried their hand in creating pots, and as a result of which we have some concrete pots and that kind of a thing that kind of comes along the line of a good bonsai pot, but it's not the clay pots or the well-crafted pottery pots that you get from your friends. Because I looked at the video. What became of the dragon pot that you created?
It should be getting fired very soon. It's just been drying, and the lady said it dried okay.
Right.
And she's going to be firing, she said, towards the end of October. So I'm hoping it gets fired soon, and I'm hoping it turns out.
But we are waiting to see it.
Waiting to see it. That and the temple.
Yeah,
That is
that'll be coming soon. I'm going to plant it this fall.
That was a brilliant piece of work, Nigel. Hats off to that piece of work. That was patience and brilliance and attention to detail.
Well, I enjoy projects like that. I enjoy making things, and
you do
creative.
You do, and we have a little bit of a kindred spirit in the sense that one of the things that I promote is use what you have at home and try to save yourself the unnecessary expense.
Yes.
So
yeah.
I would go to the $10 store, pick up a pot or a plate or whatever the case is, a soup bowl. I have a drill bit.
Drill a hole in the bottom and
drill a hole, and utilize that. I see, much to the disgust of my wife, she has missed a couple cups. I've made use of a couple of her cups.
Yeah.
But I try to promote, and I try to, because I take it from a personal place. Bonsai is not necessarily an expensive thing. We can make it expensive, or we could keep it at a minimal cost where everybody could enjoy it. You can
grow a tree in a wooden box for 40 years, your whole life, and you can enjoy the hobby, and it hasn't cost you basically anything.
Yeah.
If you start showing your trees at high level shows, then you start to need the fancy pots and the fancy stands, and then it can get expensive. But to enjoy the hobby, it doesn't take really any money at all. It's just a pair of scissors and a wooden pot, and you're good to go.
Well, as Dion said, we aspire to, and it's in the works, we aspire to have our own show, separate apart from piggybacking on another person's or another company's show.
Yeah.
And my computer is telling me it wants to die. So I will let it die, and I will go onto
your phone.
Is it still recording on the phone?
Yeah, it's still recording.
Well, I hope when you do have a show, you post it on your channel, and I'll check it out. That'd be great.
Well, maybe we could work on inviting you to Trinidad.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
Listen,
I'm going to have to do a world tour, aren't I?
Oh yeah.
Every continent of the world. That's what I'd like to do.
Absolutely.
But I might have to get rid of all my trees first. I'd have to give them away.
Not.
My wife doesn't mind watering them for a bit, but if it got too long, I think she would get tired of doing it.
Yeah. My wife said to me that if I leave for a couple of days, she may sell my plants or give them away. So I have to make sure that I am very present at all times.
Stay close to home, eh?
Very, very, very close to home.
That's funny.
I just try to hire a gardener to take care of mine because I know what would happen.
Okay, yeah. Yes, it's important to have someone who knows what they're doing to take care of your trees if you're away.
Getting a relative to turn around so that
I tend to travel sometimes twice for the year.
Okay.
So
have you ever been to Canada?
I love Canada.
Okay. Well, you're welcome to stop in if you're ever here near Toronto.
So I'll take that up. I'll take you up on that.
I've never traveled. So
just don't come in winter.
Unless
you want to see snow.
I want to see snow. I actually want to see snow because I've never traveled. So
it's pretty cool.
I would appreciate seeing it.
It's cool at first, but you get tired of it quickly.
I don't doubt that at all. I don't doubt that at all.
I may travel to Canada next year. I'm not quite sure yet. It depends on it's either there or London.
Okay.
I have no intention of going anywhere.
Well, it's a big country, Canada. It's huge.
Yeah.
the winter, I have no intentions of traveling anywhere in the winter. I know Toronto well. My mother lived there.
Okay.
My sister has a home in Toronto, so she lives there 6 months there and 6 months in England.
Oh, really? Well, I would love to meet you if you're ever down there.
So I still have a fair amount of family in the Toronto area.
Okay.
And I have a cousin that lives in St. Catharines.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But I haven't been to Canada since my mom passed away, and since she returned to Trinidad, and that's about 8 or 10 years now. But
okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So when I visit Canada, which will be my first visit, I am definitely coming to see you.
Okay.
I really appreciate what you do, Nigel, and I really
Your art,
you.
your art.
artistry.
Yeah, it is unique, and we love it.
No,
Well, thank you very much.
took a page. I tend to pay attention to things. When you had that discussion with Peter Chang,
Yeah.
who came to visit you, and he said, he loves your things and how you make things your own, and it says a lot. It says a lot. And my computer is freezing
That was
because
the strangest thing in my life. When I first got into bonsai, I bought a Peter Chan book, and to have him standing in my backyard was the most bizarre experience. It was a real honor, but it was just strange.
So, my friends, I am back home, and I would like to thank you and thank everyone for joining me on this beautiful episode. I don't call it a beautiful episode of Try Bonsai. Thank you. I'd like to say a very, very heartfelt special thank you to Mr. Nigel Saunders for accepting our invitation and, doing this really nice conversation with us. We had a lot of fun. We touched on a lot of things, a lot of nice things, and it really was bonsai across borders, because there are differences not only in soil but climate and all sorts of other things, but we have some fundamentals that stay even across the board. But it was really, really very nice having that conversation with him, and having the support of Bonsai T&T. I'd like to say a special thank you to Alvin for allowing us to use his humble place of abode to do this this video, and to have that conversation with Nigel Saunders. I mean, come on, guys, really good stuff. So, my friends, if you have not, you can leave a link in the description below. You can check out the Bonsai Zone with Nigel Saunders. He does a lot of great work. He is very, very, very meticulous, very informative, which is most important, because he describes his things down to the letter. Every single step he makes, every single thing he does, he lets you know exactly what he's going to do. And this serves as an inspiration to me, and should serve as an inspiration to others, when doing your stuff, when doing your videos or whatever the case is. So, my friends, on that note, again, thank you so very, very much. This is Bana or Shalon, aka Bana, thanking you for joining me here on Try Bonsai. Take care. Bye.